Hello all, sorry for the delay. Today, this the centralized meetup is organized by Channel Labs. This is a blockchain solutions company based in Barcelona. We develop blockchain on demand, also self-sovereign identity, mock systems, and so on. But we also try to do an effort to create a blockchain community and decentralized community in Barcelona. Today we have a meetup about Blockstack that it's more like a framework to develop decentralized applications and systems. And we'll have Matt Little, that is a full stack developer at Blockstack, and he will explain more about how Blockstack works on the backend. And then also Mark Hendrickson, that is a product manager, and he will introduce us to Blockstack in general. First of all, we will have Luke Angel, that he will present us, or he will make an announcement of a new product that they will present soon at Obyte. Obyte is a company that basically they are developing a decentralized system based on DAG, that is a direct cyclic graph. And that's all. So as we are in play, I will let you start with the presentation.
Slider. Hello everyone, as Ferran said, my name is Luke Angel. I'm Obyte. We're a DAG-based DLT protocol and platform. It's been around for a couple of years. It was launched in 2016. It's built with lots and lots of functionality. We're actually working with today's main presenters, Blockstack. We're working with a couple of developers out of India to integrate our solution with yours to do some of the functionality. So I think there's a bit of collaboration already going on here. And we're working with Talent Labs. They're going to be running one of our witness notes as part of our consensus mechanism. And today, I'm jumping the gun a little bit. You're getting the super pre-announcement about a new developer contest that we're running. Tonight, we're launching a new functionality on our platform called Autonomous Agents. Autonomous Agents are basically programs that you can write that will be stored on the DAG that then become stored there forever. And they're programs, much like a vending machine, that run certain processes. So you put certain things in, it could be money, it could be data, it runs a process and kicks out an output. We're running this contest from now until the middle of October. Every 2 weeks, we're going to have a judgment of people that have submitted the autonomous agents that they've created on our network. And there'll be a weekly prize pool of a little over $5,000 US in our native currency called GByte. And as well, every 2 weeks, there'll be a little over 1,000 awarded for the people that write the best tutorial or developer guide for the autonomous agents. So I don't know how many of you guys are real developers, but if you're interested in earning a little bit of extra cash, building some stuff on Obyte that hopefully you can then also use with Blockstack, it's an opportunity, to get paid for doing what you love, which is code. It's actually written in a new language called OScript, but it's if you know Java, JavaScript, C++, or PHP, it's super easy to pick up. It was developed by our founder, made specifically to be easy to learn. So if you take a picture, there's some of the resources that you need. And tonight, I think around 9 o'clock, we'll be posting the actual announcement on Medium, giving all the rules of the contest, and again, links to all of the resources that you need. So if you want to have a play around and maybe earn some cash, check it out. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the presentation. Thank you, Blockstack, for allowing me to hijack your video for a couple minutes.
Thank you.
Everyone. And Mark, I'm gonna go first, and Matt's gonna explain a bit about the technical side of things. So it's my pleasure today to explain a little bit about how Blockstack is driving the emergence of apps that protect our digital rights. Blockstack. Blockstack recently received a SEC qualification in the United States to sell its token. This is the first ever from the SEC, so it's very noteworthy. Yeah. Actually, I won't talk about that much this time, but there's a disclaimer slide as a result of it, so please read carefully and quickly. If you have any questions afterwards, feel free to come up to me and I'll explain more. So basically, these days there's a tension between the power of cloud-based applications and the freedom of data ownership. A decade ago, we didn't really have this tension. It's very new. Back then, we purchased software that was installed on our desktop computers, and the data we used or that we created with that software was saved to our desktop computers as files on our hard drives, right? Software worked offline, and we didn't have to send our data across the internet. There was no sort of exchanging of hands of the data. So the data was really undoubtedly ours. We had it at home, right? But gradually, we started using apps through websites, through mobile devices, and this newer generation of apps really skipped our hard drives completely. We opted instead of databases in the so-called cloud, which is really just the euphemism for servers run by corporations in far-off places. Even worse, we now needed accounts, user accounts, that were controlled by those very same corporations. And we can only access those accounts by agreeing to complex terms of service. Eventually, we abandoned desktop software almost completely in favor of the cloud. We now open Chrome for anything else on our computers. We're addicted to our mobile phones, which largely fail when we're offline. We have no connection. And in 2019, we practically live in the cloud. Our lives are digital in a real sense. But we overlook the fact that we're doing so as leaseholders, not really homeowners, when it comes to our identity and our data. Worse off, our landlords consist of very large corporations like Facebook and Google that make it intentionally difficult to export all of our stuff. And it's very hard to use that data elsewhere on the internet. These tech giants also revoke our accounts when we accidentally violate their policies, we run astray of their norms. And more commonly but quietly, they phase out support for features that are necessary to access our data. So we lose that access very silently. We have Blockstack. We believe that users should not rely on developers, big or small, for our identity and our data. We're changing how apps are built, essentially, so that users can take back control of these two factors. Essentially, we want to make every individual a homeowner when it comes to their digital property. After all, your identity and your data are the most important forms of property that you have when the world is changing into more of a digital one. At least you should have going forward. Just like the house you own in full, they should be yours now and forever. And no one should be able to use them or take them away from you without your explicit permission. Our platform provides two main solutions, both of which are designed for developers to help build apps, a new generation of apps. The first is called authentication. It's basically like a decentralized version of Facebook Connect. It empowers users to go around the internet and sign into apps made by any Blockstack developer without the need to create new accounts for each one. Instead of using an account controlled by Facebook to sign into those apps, our platform empowers you as a user to create an independent entity or identity that you can save to the Stack's blockchain. That identity is spread around the world across many computers, and at the same time controlled by just you. Nobody can mess with that, just like nobody can mess with the Bitcoin that you own, or any cryptocurrency that you have. No one can mess with the identity that you have with Blockstack. When you sign up for your first Blockstack app, this identity takes the form of what we call Blockstack ID. You can configure the ID to tell a little bit about yourself. You can have a photo, your name. You can also indicate with that ID where all the rest of your data online is. Only you have the power to change that information that's connected to your ID. That's because of secret keys, just like a password, which we all know, but much longer and more secure. And if you properly secure that secret key, there's no chance that anybody else can really take hold of your ID. And no corporation, even ourselves as Blockstack, can ever change the rules of the game or access your account. The second component of the platform is called Gaia. And Gaia is basically a decentralized alternative to many types of database solutions that are commonly used to save your data on developer servers. So just like with those databases, Gaia empowers developers to create richly designed applications around any type of content, however public or private. But unlike those solutions, Gaia stores that content in a storage location completely outside of the control of the developer. Each individual can basically decide where their storage should be. It could be Amazon, desktop, it could be their personal computer. Even someday, it could be like in your smartphone or your smartwatch. Applications simply access and modify that data from the storage provider of your choice. None of that data gets stored on the application servers, and none of it should wind up there unless you give explicit permission. If you want to walk away from a particular app, there's no need to export your data. You just simply stop using it. And if you want to start using a new app with the same data, you don't have to ask anybody for permission. It just works from the start. Both authentication and Gaia storage are designed to work together seamlessly. We provide programming libraries for both web and mobile, making integration easy for both new and existing applications. Perhaps best of all, they're completely free to use, even as your apps scale to millions of users. And should Blockstack cease to exist as a company for whatever reason, the platform will live on. It's built entirely open source with decentralized components. Soon we'll be releasing a third major component to our platform, smart contracts. As you probably all know, they're very well known throughout the industry to enable secure transactions between individuals without the need of a middleman. Blockstack developers will apply them to support decentralized interactions within their apps, whether financial or not in nature. But some of these interactions will form a universal state for apps that need to track who has rights, immutable properties, and so on within their digital communities. We studied the industry extensively while developing our smart contracting language called Clarity, and releasing the version 2 of our blockchain, which implements it. We believe that Clarity is the most predictable language yet for smart contracts, and one bound to address many of the reliability problems that developers have encountered with other solutions like Ethereum. We're proud to have created what we think is the first fully featured platform.
Can you repeat this last one?
Yeah.
With third
We think Clarity.
Yeah.
Talking about Clarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, we think it's going to be a more reliable smart contracting language than others. Such as Ethereum. Highly predictable in nature. We're proud to have created what we think is the most fully featured platform for building decentralized apps using blockchain technology. And we've already seen over 100 apps built with Blockstack. But there's much more to create. And Matt will explain next how to build your first app if you're interested. And if you've built an app, please let us know. So we have a program called App Mining, which pays out $100,000 worth of crypto every month to developers that are building the best apps with Blockstack. And that's going to increase, I think, over the next year to $1 million per year, or $1 million per month, sorry. We believe we're at the start of a new chapter for the internet, and we hope you'll join us in protecting all of our digital rights. Okay.
Is there an estimated date for the smart contracts? It's not in place, smart contract, it's not released, right?
Why do you Q&A now? You want to do it?
Q&A after? Okay.
So I just estimate is this year. And then I'm not entirely sure, but it's if you want the white paper out, a whole hour, I think, of our engineers describing how it works. who Here. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Matt. I'm an engineer in Blockstack, and I'm a quiet talker, so if you can't hear me, just let me know. I usually have a mic. So today we're going to go over how you can actually build an app using Blockstack today with like the tech that's already available today. And this is mostly going to be about building a front-end web app with JavaScript. We're not really going to go into like the details of smart contracts because they're not out yet. We're not going to go into like the underlying blockchain tech. All right, so why should you build on Blockstack? So Blockstack's architecture is designed in a way that prevents several behaviors that are harmful to consumers. And when you build an app on Blockstack, you provide some of these protections against some of those behaviors, like by default, just by the way the API is designed how you build your app. And yeah, and so there's some really big key differences between Blockstack and other blockchain-based projects. A couple of them is rather than trying to treat blockchains as like a general purpose database or a general purpose computer, we use the blockchain as a decentralized mechanism to establish trust and shared state, and we try to push the majority of code and data storage to the edges while pinning it to the blockchain. We think that's where the real current day use case of blockchain is at. And so this architecture results in a lot of benefits to you as developers as well, not just users. So for one, you can build apps using existing web frameworks and technologies that you're probably already familiar with. And you don't have to deal with like all the complexity and scalability constraints of trying to like develop and run everything on chain. All right, so we're going to walk through just building a really simple kind of hello world Blockstack app using the JavaScript npm package, and we'll go over just Blockstack authentication and storage. And before we do that, one way to get up and running really quickly is just to use our npm app generator. So anyone who's familiar with node development, you just run these few commands. It outputs a project scaffold, and this is a screenshot of what that project looks like, and it essentially includes the authentication component that just works out of the box. So Blockstack authentication flow is similar to other common single sign-on providers like sign in with Google or sign in with Facebook. And from a user's perspective, it works much the same way. So the first thing we'll do is just create a sign in with Blockstack button, and then we'll connect a function to the button, and we'll call the redirect to sign in function. And if you would like to, there's some optional parameters that let you customize the authentication flow or specify various different permission requests. And just for reference, these are just the default values, except for email address. We're going to request the user's email. If they have specified it, then your app gets access to that. So once the user clicks your button, they'll be redirected to what we call the Blockstack browser. It's really more like the authentication component. And they'll be shown this authentication approval prompt with information about the permissions you're requesting and like a little bit of branding about your app. And here you can see the URL is the browser.blockstack.org endpoint that we host, and that's where people are, where users are redirected by default. But the Blockstack browser is just a client-side web app, and so all private data like private keys, email addresses, all that, it's all stored client-side in local storage. All the logic is performed client-side, and so for visualization purposes, users can download and run the Blockstack browser app locally. It's what we recommend, and all that does is just spawn a local web server instance, and when users click that sign-in button, they redirect to this local instance instead, and it's just the same code that's running on our host version. These native apps exist right now for Mac, Windows, and Linux. So your app is required to host this manifest.json file. So in here you can do the branding stuff for your app, but the main reason you need this is for domain validation. So just the existence of this file with the correct format prevents other apps from, like forging an authentication request on behalf of your app. So this is kind of similar to like DNS validation for other use cases. So back to our example code. After the sign-in approval, the user is redirected back to your web app, and your app is passed an authentication token in the form of a URL query parameter. And so we can check for the existence of that with the is sign-in pending, and then we can parse that out with the handle pending sign-in, and that synchronous function does a bunch of magic under the hood network requests to our backend network of nodes to figure out all the user information and handshake with their Gaia server, all that stuff. And when it finishes, it stores all that data in the local storage for your web app. And in this case, when it completes, the user is essentially logged in, and we're just going to redirect to you when it finishes. Just a lazy way to refresh the page. And once that page refreshes, the is user signed in function will be true. And you can call load user data, which gives you a bunch of, pulls the stuff out of local storage and gives you a bunch of useful data. So here's a subset of some of the user data your app has available to you now. And so a couple important variables to note here at the bottom, hub URL. This is the user's specified data storage location. So that string in pink there. That is the unique storage bucket derived for that specific user and app combination. And then the beginning of the URL is where I have elected to host my guidehouse. So that's just an S3 DigitalOcean bucket. And then the app private key is also uniquely derived per user per app. And that app private key is what gives the application permission to read and write to that bucket endpoint. So once you're logged in, the storage API is available to you. And the way it works is pretty complicated, but the API is very simple. It's essentially just put file, get file, delete file. And these JavaScript methods are all you need to call to take advantage of that. So in this instance, we're going to just upload a status text file with a string, and then when it finishes, just console log. And then here's the other side of it, the get file function, which pulls that down. And then all this is like automatically encrypted. When it's written, it automatically figures out the network locations, and then same thing with get file, automatically decrypts all of that. And this is, again, all done client side. So then if you want to upload public data for what we call multiplayer storage, which is just sharing data between users, we would have to go back to our sign-in code and add the publish data permission. And what that permission does is it adds an entry for your application to the Blockstack user's profile. So that's a key my profile, and that's gratified. That's one of the apps I'm using. So now I approved this app. So now there's our example app listed with the location where I store data for that app. And other users can now look up my profile and figure out, oh, where does Matt.id store his status for publicblockstack.com. And so because everything is encrypted by default, we have to pass in the actual parameter to disable encryption when we upload the file. And now another user can be logged in, like let's say alice.id. And when you call get file, you can pass in the username of the other user's file that you're trying to get. And again, this does everything under the hood about connecting the Gaia storage buckets together and having the client, in this case, alice.id could be hosting our data at Google Cloud Storage. It doesn't matter, but it'll figure out to look from my DigitalOcean bucket and then give it to your app. And that's pretty much it for the code part. Like it's all you need to build quite a bit. Most of the apps we have out there are pretty complicated, and like that's kind of the core of the API that they're using. And so just to demonstrate the user-owned data component, I just like ran this sample code against my DigitalOcean bucket. Took a screenshot of just the file browser, and you can see the URL that was specified in my Blockstack profile. You can see that unique bucket that was generated for the example app and the status.txt file. So this is where you really have full control over your data. And this can be AWS S3, whatever data storage you elect to use. Yeah, so that's it. If you want to get started today, we have a tutorial. It takes about an hour to get through called 0 to D app. And it goes over everything we just discussed, but more in detail with links to more advanced stuff that you might want to do. And yeah, if you are interested in that app mining program, if you just build an app, make it use Blockstack, submit to app mining, it's pretty simple, and there's a good chance that you can get some of the money from app mining. And again, we're fully open source. We're on GitHub. And if you're interested in more of the technical details about our blockchain, then check out our white paper. And our white paper is recently updated with the Sachs v2 smart contracts and all that kind of stuff. So it's really interesting. I definitely recommend reading that. And we are, like, all of us are on Slack in the forums like all the time to talk to. So like we're always talking to developers. So feel free to join there. Yeah, that's it. So, Q&A session now. Thank you.
Is there equivalent available in Python as well, or is JavaScript the only language?
So JavaScript's pretty much the only language we really support right now. We used to have like a Ruby gem, I think, but we're really focused on trying to get developers to build their apps client side, because that's kind of the most transparent use case. There are cases where you can post, some of this data to your server to do certain types of stuff, and that's totally fine. But we think most applications can be built client side, and so we kind of encourage that. So if you want to use Python, you probably want to use a Python JavaScript interop layer or something like that.
I note that we have SDKs for both Android and iOS, because they're also very client side. So you can program in Java. So,
How else? Who's Blockstack?
good question. Do you want to answer that first?
I would say we're competing with cloud providers. Yeah, because like we're in the space of making solutions to build like real world apps that you can use today with tech today, and like a lot of other blockchain projects out there have a lot of promise, really cool, but not a lot of useful apps at the moment. So like we're trying to push things forward by like, yeah, I don't want to like. Yeah.
Say it.
Yeah, there's two ways to answer that. I think that's Facebook, right? We're trying to essentially trying to get rid of the Facebook Google way. Yeah. Force them to change how they do business. But inside blockchain as an industry, I loosely think a lot about Ethereum, because it's, of course, a big player. I think it's hard to make sense of it, because I think they do a lot of DeFi, for example, decentralized finance. Yeah. We don't. So there's not really alignment there. We're working on Web3, I think, which people in Ethereum land are working on Web3, but it's not as much of the, attention as currently paid to DeFi. I think 3 blocks, for example, is interesting and kind of related to some of the stuff we're doing. It's called 3 blocks. 3 blocks. Yeah. I think that's interesting. There's some things there that have philosophical things in common. But we don't look at the industry, like the blockchain industry, and think that's our rival. Like we have to beat them, because it seems like an industry, at least to me, which is really still very experimental in general, and there's nobody else with the same messaging as us.
Right. There's a few other projects out there that focus a lot on the self-sovereign identity component of it. And a lot of them I wouldn't really view as competitors, because like we kind of work with them. I think Microsoft and Blockstack, we work together to create the DID, the Digital Decentralized Identity Foundation, which is like a W3 work It's like a lot of these other projects that might be viewed as competing are like using this specification that like we all built together.
And computers, more platform blockchain, like who maintains it as well.
It's kind of shifting.
Because you created your own blockchain.
Yeah. So historically, we've been on a virtual chain on Bitcoin. To say that all the identities, for example, have been written essentially as the Bitcoin blockchain. That's the sort of source of truth. But we're transitioning with our V2 of the Stack blockchain to our own blockchain, entirely separate from Bitcoin, and we're pretty much done with that transition. I think that'll be finalized at the end of the year. The timing's a little bit unclear, but we're ramping up the sort of scaling of that separate chain. So that question is kind of a bit tricky because we'll run it.
People that run Bitcoin nodes and Monero nodes and Ethereum nodes.
Yeah, we're not a whole mining program. We're going to incentivize those. I'm not the best person to answer the details about this. The white paper is.
Yeah, and it's like tunable proof of work. So basically, we use existing hash power of Bitcoin to bootstrap.
Evidence. We could burn in that performance.
I mean, maybe. I've never did
This is
I just read stuff.
Yeah, it's a pretty complex system. I recommend the white paper. So we started off, and currently what's live right now is a virtual chain, which there's a node layer on top, but yeah, it commits everything to the Bitcoin network. So the new system is going to start off mostly doing that with a lot of improvements, but with something called tunable proof of work, where the ratio of proof of burn, which is what it starts off with, slides to proof of work. And the reason you want to do that is if you just launch a new blockchain that doesn't have a lot of hash power, it's not very secure compared to Bitcoin. So if you just piggyback off of Bitcoin's hashing power, like it's pretty secure. So that's what we've done. Tunable proof of work gives us a system to move away from Bitcoin while being secure. And it's very complicated. Read the white paper.
Yeah, is it that white paper or is it that's the one linked to it?
Oh, that one?
One of our engineers, Aaron, gave a talk that was recorded about a week ago, I think, all about this, and he walks right through it. Gets right into the details, so we can jump into that.
Yeah, I can share with you guys.
Yeah.
Not the link.
I tried to read this proof of work like months ago when you released it, and I didn't understand anything. I'm technical, but
Yeah, it's written in a PhD.
As you can tell.
And so you contribute to the deep specification, but are you also using revealable credentials on your identity system?
What was the last part of the question?
Verify credentials.
Verifiable claims.
I
Yeah, I mean, can you store verifiable claims on your identity and use it after?
Our social verifications, I think. There's something called social verifications, where you can verify your GitHub, your Twitter, your Facebook, etc. to your ID. I don't know if they can formally describe it.
think there's part of the DID specification that enables some of that, but I'm not totally sure.
I mean, these are used to see where and how. But then the referral credentials are the main part, because if the government gives to me a referral claim, then I can use these and an app to go to a bar and buy alcohol if I'm above 18. So I'm guessing if you are planning or you are using referral claims on your identity model, or if it's possible in the future.
I think it's possible. It's not a focus. I think if you think about the apps built on Blockstack right now, it's replacements for Google Docs, for Google Photos, for Twitter, etc.
Okay.
These are services that you can sign up for free, either centralized or decentralized with Blockstack. You don't really need to have a verified credential. And so, given that focus and that kind of app, we haven't been too concerned about making sure that we have the sort of user experience. But I believe that we have some setting us up to do that in the future. Should that be the sort of app type of app?
Yeah, I think the best person to answer that question is Anthony right now as well.
Yeah.
So,
The app grants are monthly, right?
Yeah.
And how many people or teams are competing on them each month?
Right now, I think we have around 100 that are registered to participate to compete. I don't know the actual dates.
Like this month.
Yeah, we just had a surge because we ran a contest called Can't Be Evil. So a bunch of new apps were created and registered, which was great. So I don't know the exact, but I think it's around 100, maybe a bit more. And so each month we have our reviewers, I think we have 4 right now, that will evaluate holistically all participants. We have an algorithm that basically uses game theory to make sure that we select the best from all of those reviewers. And then we pay out every month. Basically, we announced that app.co/mining. If you go there, that's where we show all of the winners historically and monthly going forward. I can bring it up real quick if you want.
And is it that every month it's almost like a new competition, or do the previous submissions always keep competing in the future as well?
yeah, the previous submissions I think stay in by default, and their previous score is a weight into the next score. It's weighted in.
Okay.
The exact algorithm is designed by game theorists, and there's a paper on it somewhere, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, there's your past winnings will affect in some ways how you'll get the next amount, but it's only a part of your overall scoring. So newcomers sometimes surge right to the top. We've seen apps that we're not ranked at all. We're top 5 the first round. See down here. This is the last month in June. We had Dmail, Forms ID, Graph, etc. See that they earned 20,000 USD. We paid out in Bitcoin. It was 16, 12, 800, etc. It was a decreasing amount based on the ranking. And this we just announced, I think it was today or yesterday, that over the next year we're going to expand this to ever greater amounts. So the top winner will earn even more, and etc.
And where does the funding come from for this?
Well, we pay out Bitcoin based on our reserves. Now we're switching over to Stacks, our token, which now with qualification, etc. We're going to sort of transition partly to Bitcoin and Stacks, and we're going to use Stacks. So the value ultimately in a year will be based on the Stacks.
So at some point you had an ICO and then like raised some money, and now that's
Yeah, we had an ICO end of 2017. It started in 2018.
good time.
Yeah. We did this public sale. Just on that, I think live for the week. Sorry.
What smart contract platform did you use for stack tokens? For stack tokens, what smart contract platform did you use? And which one are you using right now?
So it's a native token. It's in our blockchain. It's not using a smart contract.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not based on
So for now, you have authentication and storage as tools for developers. What kind of other libraries or tools do you have already available, or are you planning to build?
Well, identity and authentication and storage are the main ones. Smart contracts are the next one that we're introducing. So those would be sort of the triumvirate, if you will.
When you say smart contract, you mean some kind of like Turing complete, totally open smart contract platform, or like?
It's non-Turing complete, actually. Yeah. So we've basically prioritized the ability to predict what's going to happen, the execution of smart contracts, but we've made the trade to make them non-Turing complete to achieve that. The idea being that we write it, we want to know exactly what's going to happen.
That's already specified, I imagine, in the white paper.
Yeah.
So the Clarity smart contract is fully statically analyzable by default.
Oh, that's cool.
But it comes at the cost of no recursion, no dynamic dispatch. So a little bit more developer hostile, but I think better.
It's very Lisp-y. It's based on this Lisp syntax.
Yep, Lisp based.
How does it differ to the WASM based? Like, how does it compare to WASM based? WebAssembly, based, where they use Rust.
Well, so what? Like I think EOS, right? Compiles to WebAssembly. If it's just regular WebAssembly, it's Turing complete, so it's vulnerable to the same class of problems that Ethereum is. The solidity is.
But that's the limits of what you can do. It's not very complete, so it's not really smart.
I think the belief is that Turing completeness isn't necessary for a lot of use cases.
Of course, that's why they built all of that conception. But then you want to build something that kind of has Turing completeness, but not fully, right?
It's fully not Turing complete, not Turing complete at all. But yeah, I think there's some use cases that probably are not possible, but I think a lot are.
Do you have because you said earlier you're not targeting DeFi, for example, decentralized finance. So do you have like a type of market or type of use case in mind for this smart contract?
Yeah, well, Web3 is sort of the label that I would throw out there. Any consumer app that's used daily on our phones that isn't DeFi, you probably use it for free or maybe pay some subscription for it. We do hope that these apps they evolve with better business models than what we see. There's sort of a theory of these shouldn't be ad supported. These probably are for pay apps, or there's something else about them that. But yeah, it's that class of apps, like consumer grade daily use of apps. I mean, they don't have to be consumer only. They can be enterprise as well. It's just not our focus to really, I guess, target enterprise or DeFi right now. It's more on consumers. You can see in the apps that are participating in app mining, for example, these are mostly consumer apps. You can see here, email is a replacement for email, even. Forms of ID replaces SurveyMonkey and other sort of survey. Graphite's like Google Docs. Impatient is a way to raise money. Call it photos. Black hole is like Dropbox.
Is there anything new? I don't mean that as a criticism, but is it like the subscription, this submission or more like replacement or something, but did someone create something that exists in a centralized way?
It's mostly or all like you see there's X and now it's Y, which an example where it's like this is totally like I don't know. You can take a look through the list, but that comes to mind. Like that's usually you have a centralized service, people love it, but they feel wary of the fact that they have all control. Relationship. So the idea is to say that, but
can you show us the app that you think that is the best that you applied until now?
can I show my app? Let's see which one will we show. I mean,
Humans. It's great.
Humans is great. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. It's like
It's featured in that one, if you know it.
where?
That one got featured this week.
There you go.
Like one of the apps we actually use.
Yeah. That's what it's graphics is very good.
Yeah, Graphite's good, but I mean,
I mean, it's a simple
you gotta learn login. So,
Do you want to see like the full end-to-end experience? Well, upgrading that, I guess. Yeah. So this graphic, this is like Google Docs replacement. So, you know, Blockstack, this is like Blockstack.
Lunch is the.
Yeah. Sorry, our limit support is a little bit.
You didn't send Catalan, right?
Yeah. So this device has never signed in with Blockstack, so you can create your own ID or sign in with an existing one. So you create a new one. So let's do. See if it's available. Available? What password should I use?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
We can all use this later. So just to point out here, one thing we do to make it easier to sign up is with a password that we use to encrypt your private key, and email you this magic code we call. So later, if you want to come back and use your private key, you can do that to get rid of it, or you can use this password magic key combination as a way of like backup, because in the crypto world there's no backups, so it's like the best thing you can find. So if you forget your password, it's not actually a big deal if you have your private key. I should say your seed. Which is crypto magic. Email. What's it? Anybody?
Info.
Oh.
You want to do the art?
Alright, so now it's registered. So that ID is registered now to the block, Bitcoin blockchain via the virtual chain. If you want here, you can see your recovery key. So this is what we expect, right? See? Yeah. Since the
Now I can give you another one.
Cool. Now we go to an off screen where it says, I have your ID. Do you want to use it with graphite? Yes. Going forward, this is the screen you can see how to use Blockstack out. So you skip the creation, you just say, yes, I want to use that. It's like they're loading state.
Yeah,
It's offer. Yeah. Maybe graphite might not have offer.
you want plus operates. You want to try another.
Yeah. Do you have
Firefox.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So,
One question. So if you develop an app and there are transactions happening inside there, then those transactions will be recorded in the Bitcoin network. That's correct, right?
What kind of transactions? Yeah.
Well, like, I mean, isn't that the idea that then you don't need a server, right? All of the compute power will come from the Bitcoin network, or is that not how it works?
So the transaction of registering your ID, yes, is saved to the blockchain. But what we do, which I think Matt explained a little bit, is we try to separate a lot of the sort of app data that, for example, what we've been studying, global state, we separate that and put in the Gaia system, which is a storage provider off chain.
Okay.
So actually, we can expect the calls here. I'll show you how that works. Just because we're in a new browser, I'll sign in, and that works. And so we ask to encode this every time to keep it encrypted on your device. So this is why we're putting the password.
There goes their app.
Oh, yeah. Hey, browser compatibility. All right, so let's go to the console. Internet. Keyboard. Yes, yeah. Or this console. Right here. How do you rank it? Yeah. Yeah. Go to. All right, so we create a document, for example. It's, actually, it's going to automatically use here. These calls here. There's a post to hub.blockstack.org, which is a hub that we default the users to, so they have like storage out of the box. It's saving this JSON file, which represents the documents, to the user's hub, where they're stored. So you can see the. Yeah. Well, this is where it is. Let's just grab this. This one. This is the right file. Okay, yeah. So what you're seeing here is the document that was saved to the user storage provider, what we'll call the hub. It was saved in an encrypted way. So if you just view that file anywhere, anybody can see URL, you'll see that you actually see the ciphertext here. And so this encrypted virtual document has to be loaded into Graphite using an app private key that I was talking about to decrypt and show in the app. So private user data is available online, which is encrypted. And we do all this sort of decrypting and encrypting seamlessly in the SDK. So the Graphite just has to say, save this file, encrypted, and stuff. Other apps save public data, and then you see public data. Yeah, sorry.
Is this file replicated several times to different hosts?
Not by default. If you want to set up your storage provider to replicate, you can. But the idea is that each user can basically pick the server online where they want to store most of their data. And so it's up to them if they want to create redundancy or migrate from one to the other. But by default, just one URL per piece of data.
We get a lot of questions about IPFS. There is an IPFS backend for Gaia. The problem is it's slow to update and slow to read from. So if you choose to use that and you share like this document with someone, they might not get your updates for up to a couple of minutes, for example. And then because of the way IPFS works, if you don't pay to have your data pinned by some service, your data will be gone. So that's why we don't just like default IPFS, for example. It's a really common request.
Yeah, we get a lot of questions about this. Like, why isn't this data just spread around the world? And we want to make sure that it's reliable for the user, that there's one source of truth that they can manage. Obviously, there's a trade-off there because you have to. We provide a free version at Blockstack as sort of like a subsidized service to get people going. But long term, we want people to form their own storage provider endpoints, and either they'll have to be sponsored and have to pay by some way, or they'll have to pay for themselves.
How do you pay for the storage service? How do you pay?
But right now, the company just pays that. But then long term, the users will have to assume that responsibility.
What are you paying with Stack?
Potentially, we don't know yet.
Yeah.
I'm sure. We're thinking possibly building out a system that uses freemium services. So like you can already use Dropbox and Google Drive for free. The problem is like, they get that data and have access to it, they can revoke it. So in a perfect world, Gaia would be writing to all of those services using their free model, encrypting all of it, and they would just be stored blockers that had no say. That's one potential future.
So if you store files, basically they can be private only for you, and then they can be public. Is it possible to limit sharing files to a certain subset of people, like not having complete private?
Yeah. Nice to figure out sure once you can explain that.
Yeah, in the API you can choose to encrypt. There's different encryption schemes, but yeah, you can encrypt your data for several uses, depending on what you're doing. If it's a large file, then the encryption scheme you want to use might be different than if it's like a small message.
Is your system tolerant to internet of breaking? I mean, you're transferring a huge file to some host and the connection breaks several times. Could it handle the situation?
Currently, like Blockstack.js or JavaScript SDK doesn't, I don't think, handle that for the application. The application would have to build that in themselves. But we hear about this a lot. The needs to reliably save when there's different file sizes and different. So I think it's an area of interest for us to perhaps put into our SDK.
Yeah.
So I think I would expect over the next few years for us to build out needs to developers.
Okay. Any question?
I will also ask.
Can I use this library with other projects as React project or React Native?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, this is You include Blockstack.js in your project, regardless of the framework you use, React, or Angular, or Vim, or whatever, and it works. There's no need to think between them. This is a framework, but it's not really a web app framework. React. We're not replacing React. We work with them.
Some of our app generators create like a to-do list, and you can specify using React or Vue. The Blockstack.js package is more logic, not a.
It's the vision Blockstack in the future. 5 years. What's the vision of what Blockstack is? As a rule.
Well, we want to provide the protocols and the technology to make building apps in this decentralized manner easier and more profitable for startups than doing it in a decentralized way. And so I think we already appeal to developers that you don't have to worry about databases out of the gate, you don't have to worry about sign-ons and administration. But I think in 5 years we want to move the needle much further, where there's no question this is the way you want to build an app. Versus, the responsibility to get centralized user data, which is a big maintenance cost, not just a development cost. We'd like to be powering. Said another way, we'd like to be powering many apps that have many millions of active users. Market essentially represents that end users really need this, and they elect to transfer their activity over from these solutions. So that's the sort of marketing.
Is it correct to say that your system is for developing applications that would be run on dynamic cluster? I mean, basically, for example, if I run an application for a cluster, I know which cluster consists from 3 servers, etc. In your system, the cluster is dynamic. Some users, of course, can come to your system. Some users can get out, but the application should handle this dynamic.
User data. You could consider it like a cluster. Like, the app doesn't care about it. The app itself, like the app code and logic and all images, resources. A lot of apps are just static apps. Like, you can host it as a GitHub Pages app, for example.
Last question? No? Okay, so thank you for coming, and thank you, Mark and Matt, Luis also. So basically now we have some beers, so I think you have to take advantage to have someone from Blockstack here in Barcelona. That is not something that happens every day. I will bring the beers here so we can chill out.
We have macarons. Okay.
And we have macaron. So Blockstack. And I invite you also to subscribe to the newsletter and the Twitter, because there we publish new meetups and also workshops.
I am local, so if you want to get
Okay, thank you.
I was going to point out, I'm based here in Barcelona now.
Yeah.
I haven't for years. So you gotta get questions. 3 days.
But where is Blockstack?
New York City.
Okay, nice, but it's nice to
Based
Less
out
than
of
half
know.
more employees.